And then the sheeps say like, we're gonna solve the murder mystery. I jumped out of my seat, like put my popcorn on the side, and like audibly said, "Holy shit." Welcome back to the double feature. My name is Killian Wright, joined by Jack Local as always. We're not giving you guys a review today, but we are going to go through our top 5 scenes of the year halfway through 2026. And we also have some honorable mentions. And then one more kind of stipulation we implemented is we tried to limit it to one per movie, just because I think Jack and I share the same opinion that there'd be a lot of Project Hail Mary on the list, if not for it. So we tried to kind of mix some other movies in there so we're not just running through the same thing over and over. But Jack, if you want to kick it off with your honorable mentions, we'll start that way.
Yeah, so I have four honorable mentions this time, and just mostly just stuff that I like love, cinematic moments I love this year. So one I had from Leviticus, the closing shot, the Frank Ocean self-control needle drop, really fit that tone of that movie well. Then I have the Lady Gaga's live performance from Devil Wears Prada 2. I just think I love that they did that. Like I think that's
Yeah.
so cool. And then I do the Minions runaway train sequence when they have Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, all those guys in the background. And then I know how you feel about this movie, but the This is Disclosure Day sequence from Disclosure Day when they're showing all the alien footage, and it's the final, very satisfying conclusion to a long-winded 2.5 hour Spielberg popcorn summer movie. But I don't know, I've been happy this year, and those are my four. Just missed the cut. So
Well, when we were texting earlier about Disclosure Day, I think we both thought like the other one was yanking our chain. I didn't think you were serious about like having a scene from that movie on the list. And then like obviously I have some scenes from that movie that I like despise a lot. I don't think you thought I was serious with that. It's like, that movie is like probably the most polarizing movie of the year. I feel like
oh
there's a lot of people who really hate it. And there's a lot of people who really like it.
yeah, oh for sure. I've seen the both opinions, and I'm more in the middle, which like in comparison to you means I'm further down the line of loving it
Yeah.
because I'm just a romantic, and that
All right.
that is a romantic film.
No,
So
it's
we,
not.
oh, what do you
Oh
mean?
my God.
How can you not be romantic about a Spielberg summer blockbuster with Josh O'Connor? Like let's be real here. Anyway,
How can we not be romantic about American football or Substack reference?
American soccer, bro.
American soccer. All right.
Ooh,
Same thing,
shout
bro.
out Moneyball.
Someone I know just watched Moneyball and gave it a 5 star. It's like the first time watching Moneyball is like definitely like that. It's like it's pretty groundbreaking, I'd say, like the first time you watch it. Um anyway, my honorable mention list is like I shared the self-control needle drop with you for Leviticus. I think music actually like plays a pretty big factor in my personal rankings, like on movies and then scenes too, specifically like whether it's a soundtrack or a score. Like music just has, I think that can make or break a scene. And then, I don't think that scene was like particularly great or anything, but I mean, just like having the balls to like use a Frank Ocean song in a movie and like make it pretty respectable. I think that's worth a mention.
Mhm.
And then I have the sheep detectives begin the murder mystery.
Ooh.
I didn't read the synopsis, didn't watch a trailer. I had no idea anything about that movie. I thought it was going to be Hugh Jackman and the sheeps like running around solving crimes together. And Hugh Jackman dies, and I'm like, holy shit. And then the sheeps say like, we're going to solve the murder mystery. I jumped out of my seat, like put my popcorn on the side and like audibly said, holy shit. It was like those audience reactions in like Spider-Man No Way Home. Like that was me with sheep detectives. I was
I'm
blown away.
that I we need to talk about that. I can do a whole episode on Sheep
We're doing a
Detectives.
rewatchables on Sheep
Oh my
Detectives soon.
gosh.
Like
I mean,
absolutely.
like just in a year full of surprises, like I'm looking at my top 10 and like all of them I've been surprised by. Sheep Detectives might be up there as number one. That movie is
Oh yeah.
great. Yeah, I
It's a
just couldn't
great
find a
surprise.
scene. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that scene was like I wouldn't even consider that like one of my scenes of the year. It just that split moment where it's like it clicked in my mind like, oh my God, they're doing a murder mystery. Like that moment is like one of the greatest moments I've ever had watching a movie, I think. Like really high up there. I'm so serious. Like just great. Another honorable mention I had was the brick scene from Obsession. Um, I wanted to definitely have at least one obsession mention in here, and I think it was just really uncomfortable to watch, and you knew it the whole time, like the entire 2.5 minutes, like leading up to it, you're just like, oh my god, it's gonna happen, and the suspense was good. And then the last one I had was Lakeith Stanfield eating pussy, and I love boosters. That was like, what the hell am I watching? Which just like makes sense for a Boots Riley movie. You figured there's gonna be something like that in there. I just didn't know to what extent, and that kind of shocked me. And then like 10 more scenes from Project Hail Mary are on my honorable mention list. I'm not going to go through them, but it's basically every scene that's not actually in my top five. Um, so there's a lot to work with. I've seen a shitload of movies this year already. I think I'm at like 41 right now from 2026. So I've got a lot on the list, but the honorable mentions are definitely tough. I really, really wanted to include Sheep Detectives into that top five, but I'll stay away from it. What's what are we working with for your five?
Yeah. So the five, I tried to avoid those big mo like the climax of a movie is like obviously going to be the big scene. So I try to avoid that a lot. But for this one, I like couldn't help it. So I went with the final wedding scene from the drama. I just think it's just, I mean, talk about a great like build up and then great result. I think Robert Pattinson does a great like drunken speech. It's stressful, but it's also like hilarious. Like
Yeah.
the DJ coming in and talking about the first rule of DJ playing is being on time, and it's just like a great comedic timing, super satisfying, fun, and then they have a little like epilogue after, but I'm not counting that as the final wedding scene. I don't know. I just think it's a great use of the tension built throughout the movie and the pulling aside. It was one of the more memorable parts from that movie, and I loved it.
I think with the drama, I don't have anything from the drama on my list because I don't think there's like, at least to me, it's like the greatness of the movie comes from like the entire movie being the way it is. It's like very, very much like putting this like anxious feeling over you the entire time. And it's like picking apart one scene like by itself. And to me personally, they don't stand as well individually as they do together. And like obviously you take things within the context that they're given, but that's why it missed my cut. Otherwise, like that's a great scene, but like I viewed the drama more as like this is an amazing movie, like all throughout, and it's like really cohesive and consistent. But I didn't think there was one that like quite cracked my top five.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
it's
mean,
great though. Like drama's in my top five movies of the year.
oh, me too. And like, I mean, talk about surprises. I was kind of, and we talked about this a little, the invite. Like, I just think the A24 formula of like, oh, peaceful, like suburban house, like they're in a nice house, they're wearing nice
Yeah,
clothes, but then like something evil happens. Like, I was so sick of that. And like this really surprised me. It's just like a well-crafted, like 2 hour movie from start to finish.
pacing was good. That was maybe the best paced movie of the year. Hot take, I don't know. Um, is excellent pacing, I would say, honestly. My number five was I went a different route than you. You said you didn't have many like climaxes in your top five. I have a lot in mind, just to be blunt about it. But my number five is from the Christophers when Julian Sklar, I think that's how you say his last name. They had like obviously really heavy British accents in the movie, so I couldn't totally tell how to pronounce it. But it, played by Ian McKellen, like tears apart his masterpiece of a painting. The Christophers are like this series of paintings that his character has, based on this like old lover he had decades ago, and he kind of let this guy like hang and like loom over his life, like not physically, he was out of the picture for a long time, but like mentally and metaphorically, he was just kind of taking over his life. And uh, when Julian finally gets to the point where him and Michaela Cole and or yeah, Michaela Cole, I think is her name, is like how you they were like pushing each other's buttons the whole movie, and she finally gets him like, all right, let's finally work on this painting, and he just like lets out this like decades of pent up emotion and like starts destroying the painting, and he's like laughing at first, and then it turns into tears, and it's just like this like outburst of like decades of pent up emotion. And it's Ian McKellen who's like in his probably mid 80s at this point, if not later. Like he could be high 80s and it wouldn't shock me. And he's like still delivering like one of the best performances I think of the year. And I really like scenes like that where it's like these characters have been interacting and then all of a sudden it's just you just let it all out. And I think he did a good job. And just from him being as old as he is, it just really took me by surprise, like that movie being as good. And I think that was the most memorable part of the movie was just him kind of letting out all the emotion.
Yeah. I mean, that movie is one that I missed in theaters. I'm still waiting on it to come onto some streaming platform, but I really
Yeah.
like regretted it because of like the things I'm hearing about it has just been like incredible. Um, so I mean, I'm still waiting to see that, but I absolutely like I don't know. I'm so eager to, and I love scenes like that in movies that are structured that way. So I don't know, nothing but high hopes.
It's pretty dialogue heavy. So like
Mm.
up your alley. And it's pretty like contained too. So you'll probably enjoy that one.
Yeah. Well, my fourth is from Obsession, which is a movie I'm not very hot on. I mean, I don't think it's not in my top 10 of the year, and I've only seen like 20 movies this year, but the scene where the real Nikki peeks through and is worried about waking up the like fake Nikki and they're lying in bed together, I just think is like one of the more flawless parts of that movie. And my favorite part is just feels it's just like dread and like terror and the performance from I think it's Indy Neveretti, I think I'm saying it right, is just incredible. This is like the part of that movie where I like really like twist and it's like okay like that's like the special part of this movie is like coming through and she and her performance is 100% the special part of this movie and I just think it really like worked to like create such a distinct character from a character that I feel like has been done before if you want to say like the fake Nikki or like the horror trope of like the crazy like I don't know, psychotic monster. And then that scene, we really see the point where it's like, okay, like this is what this movie is about. It's not Bear is like obviously the perpetrator here, and he's not a victim. So I think that scene was just something that really stood out to me, something I think about a lot as one of like the maybe scariest moment in a movie this year. Just absolutely like I don't know, when it like such a standout moment in that movie, which has a albeit like again, like I don't like this movie, but it has so many memorable, like fun sequences. And like this is the one that I really like. And when I left the theater, that's what I'm thinking of.
And you're talking about the one like right before the brick scene, right? Are you
Oh, I
talking about
thought
the one really early on when it's
yeah,
like he first snaps the willow and are you talking about that one?
yeah, I'm talking about yeah, early on, like
Okay.
he snaps the willow and like they're in bed together and
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
real like the fake
Okay.
Vicky's like
I see what you
asleep
mean.
and they like,
Yeah.
they're worried about waking her. Like that's just like such a like I mean, because it's early enough in the movie where it's like you're still getting its footing, and like
Yeah.
that's like the part where it finds its footing for me.
Yeah. That was definitely the stronger points of Obsession was when it leaned into like the the flipping between the two different Nickies. Um I would say that and then like it's the audio was like really awesome in that
Mm.
movie. Like the way they like warped her voice all the time was like terrifying. Obsession definitely like I think that's one that I'm interested to rewatch soon, just because like the discourse about it turned into like a bunch of slop like everywhere, and so I'm interested to like rewatch. But like I walked away from it like giving it a 5 star. Like I thought it was one of the better horror movies in the last like 3 years, and I think horror movies are like honestly just hard to make good, so it's easier to give it credit when they do because the genre that's probably horror and comedy are like the two biggest slop genres, maybe comic at this point, but yeah, so I think like doing a good horror is good. And then Obsession, like you said, like definitely nailed it with the flipping between Nikki stuff, I think. So I definitely get why you had a spot on here for it.
Mm.
I
Yeah, and
had
like oh,
oh
that's
no,
all
you
you.
go.
Oh, well, I was just saying like that's I like think that I saw it before the discourse and I thought it was like nothing special, and then the or like first weekend of discourse was that it's the best movie ever, and then the second
Yeah.
weekend was like a mix of people that are pretentious saying they hate it, and then people that have watched like three movies in the last 4 years saying it's the greatest movie ever, and it's just like insufferable either way. So I'm honestly just like done with people talking about it for now. Like we can pick it up later, but
It
I'm
needs to
over
be
it.
out of the picture for a little bit. And
Hmm.
I think it's finally starting to exit scene, especially with Odyssey and Spider-Man coming in to kind of kick it out.
Mm.
It ran in discourse way longer than it needed to. Um,
Yeah.
I had at my number 4. Obviously, we just talked about it in our review episode. I had the couple swap scene from The Invite. I think this is like the peak of like Seth Rogen in anything as far as acting wise what he did in the couple swap scene. Like I laughed my ass off for like 3 minutes straight when he stood there with his dumbass jean jacket on, and Penelope Cruz is like kissing the back of his neck, getting him going, and he's just frozen and like kind of awkwardly looking. And it's just like I was dying. And I don't really laugh at Seth Rogen often. And then you pan to the other side, and it's Olivia Wilde going through this like crazy anxiety spell in her own way. Like instead of freezing and locking up, she's like kind of bouncing off the walls, like, let me clean these dishes, let me brush stuff off. And then it's Edward Norton like being like seductive, which is like, what the hell? Like, all right, I guess. And his name is Hawk. And it's like I couldn't move off the path. And she said his name like three different times. And I'm like, I can't get over the fact his name is Hawk. And so it's an anxious Olivia Wilde, like literally having a conversation like mid like sexy time, and then it's Seth Rogen like totally locked up, and it's just like the most unbelievable situation ever because like what is Seth Rogen doing? And at that point in the movie, like I am thinking of him as like it kind of broke through the spell of like this isn't his character. Like to me, that scene was like this is Seth Rogen just like plopped in the middle of a scene. And that's what I think makes him funny sometimes is like it's hard to get over the fact that he's Seth Rogen. And a lot of times that can really hurt. But in certain situations, like it can be fucking amazing. And I think this was one of them where it's like, wow, Seth Rogen is plopped in the middle of a scene wearing a jean jacket, getting his neck kissed. Like, this is hilarious. And then he falls and starts screaming about his back. And then it's kind of like, all right, whatever, I'm done with it. But those like 3.5 minutes were like hilarious. I think that probably, I would say the funniest scene of the year for me personally.
Oh, I remember that scene just like I saw this movie alone in a movie theater and I was just like I was dying laughing. And I usually don't laugh when I'm alone. Like I'm usually like straight business, but like I was like giggling. It was just such a fun sequence and like I love all those characters. And then you talk about music earlier and the Sade song playing in the background and
Yeah.
like call back to earlier in the film when what's it Edward Norton's like, is Sade jazz? And Seth Rogen shuts him down. It's just like great stuff. Great like feels so like well-rounded and on all fronts. Yeah, I do have to correct you. He is wearing a denim shirt and not a jean jacket. It's just like less structured and
It's
there's
like the same thing, bro.
bro.
Like he's got the
Oof, all right,
pockets on it, and
casual.
it's like it's not even a. I wouldn't consider that a shirt. It's like an over because he had a shirt under it, and I know you can like layer shirts and shit, but that's like a it's like a hybrid between a shirt and a jacket. A
You
shacket, I call it that. A denim shacket.
don't say that, bro. A
Jerk.
denim jacket, bro. Just call
Oh,
it a
jerk.
shirt, bro. It's a
That's
button-up
not a
shirt.
shirt. No way.
All
That's
right, casual. All
like
right,
a
buddy.
whole like thing going on.
Oof.
He's got way too many pockets on it for that to be a shirt. There gets to
Oh,
if you have more than two pockets, that's not a shirt anymore, in my
bro.
opinion. Right?
Podcaster discovers button-up shirt, bro. It's insane.
Dude, do your button-up shirts have three pockets on it?
Three? He did not have three. Can we
I'm
fact
pretty
check
sure he
that?
had two on the top and then some more. There was some more down on the side going on, was there not? Swear there was.
All right, we're scanning. 1 second.
He had to have. Investigate this.
Enhance.
In my head,
Oh,
he's got multiple pockets going on.
oh yeah, I guess it is a little bit of a lightweight
Oh
short
yeah.
though,
Yeah,
because he
it's a
does
little bit
have
more
the
of a
double
jacket.
action. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't say
yeah.
jacket.
Oh, it's a little bit more of a jacket.
All right, buddy. Why is
That's
he wearing
not
a
a
jacket
shirt.
inside?
What you've got on right now is a shirt.
Yeah, what you got on is a shirt,
I don't know. There's a little bit of like wool going on in this.
dude.
I don't
This
know
is
what to call this. It's a
oh,
pullover.
ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, dude, thanks. Yeah.
All right, that was
I,
tough. I'm sorry.
yeah. Anyway, Seth Rogen had his. I'm gonna call it. We don't have to call it a jean jacket. We'll call it denim
Yeah,
jacket.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to start anything, bro. That was
Uh,
it's my
well, that's what made the scene so gold. I wouldn't be like
the jean jacket,
yes, his dumbass outfit made that hilarious. And like
bro.
if he was wearing something like a little more normal, like it wouldn't have been as funny. But the fact that he's kind of like struggling, I think, to like take it off, or like at one point is like he starts trying to get it off after he's frozen for a little bit, and that's when he falls.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
and it's because of the dumbass denim jacket. Like that was hilarious. Of course, he's wearing that.
Of course he is.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, denim talk aside, my third best scene of the year is also the invite, but I opted for when Rogan and Wild first learn about like the secret that Norton
yeah,
and Cruz have. I didn't talk a ton about it when we reviewed the movie, but I love that. I love Wild's acting, but I do also love the scene where Rogan and Wild, like the scene in the scene where Rogan and Wild go aside into another room and talk.
yeah,
It's like shot through a window and they're like laughing, smiling. I think he has a joint. And it's just like it was a good like placement in that movie because it's a reminder that like they do love each other, they do get along,
Yes.
and like to that point, you didn't get that at all. And in a movie that's so much about like their love and like their relationship, like having that like beat in the middle where they're aside and they're alone and they're happy, it was just perfect. Um, I love that scene for a lot of reasons. I do think it's like an interesting like social like critique or social criticism to like look into these like trends that are happening now. And I just think again, like all four cast members are just like firing on all fronts throughout this entire movie. But especially in this scene, I just think it's like interesting. You get to see another side of Wild, like not necessarily being stressed, but also being like curious. And I think she conveys that really well, this like anxious curiosity that's happening at both times in her mind. So I love that part. That was almost like 10 minutes before your scene. So we're right around the same part.
Yeah, and then like 20 minutes after that is like another top scene of the year candidate there where she's like when Penelope Cruz like dissects them in the
Mm,
middle of the room. But yeah, with your scene that you just brought up, it's I think the best part of it is the fact that it's like for like 2 minutes you're like, oh wow, they can be normal. Like this is maybe what they're like sometimes, like off camera, like maybe like this is the good moments of it. And it's like that's what I think that like 2.5 minutes right there where they split off into the other room and they're like sharing laughs and stuff. I think that can be like the saving grace of like, okay, they don't need to fully end the relationship and like divorce. Like they can go be a couple still. And that's what makes I think the ending work is like
mm.
the 2.5 minutes you get there.
Yeah, oh for sure. And like just the like having a 2.5 minute scene like lift up that much weight for the conclusion to work is like difficult and it's not like often it's not pull off well. So if like that scene doesn't work, the movie doesn't work. And the fact that it does work, it just does, I mean, just does so much because like if that scene was forgettable, then I'm like, okay, like how are they getting back together? This like end like
Yeah.
thing where they're like playing piano together makes no sense. But
Yes.
I don't know, having it is just like it's just so like well placed too.
Is yeah, you just got like a little splash of like realism in there of like, all right, they can work.
That
Good,
was a
good
splash,
email.
yeah.
Good
Splash
email.
me.
It was almost like that. A little splash. Yo, stop doing that, dude. Uh my number three, and this is the only I'm guessing it's gonna be the only one even on your list too, potentially, but it's definitely the only one on mine. The only straight to digital scene I have in this. I went with it's from I Miss You or Miss You Love You with Allison Janney, who's just awesome. And she's basically playing like the typecast that she gets a lot, where she's just like angry. And she's awesome in it. And it's like her, and then Andrew Rannells, and she plays the mother of a man who's kind of like estranged. They have an estranged relationship because of something that had happened like decades ago. And basically, her husband, who was her son's stepfather, passed away. And then Andrew Reynolds is in like a situationship with her son. And he's sent to go like help arrange a funeral. And they basically spend an hour and a half of the movie like bickering and fighting with each other about like why they think each other is like they have a couple of heartwarming moments here and there, ups and downs, but like they at the end of the day, it's like they both think each other are like wrong and like they're just like miserable to their own fault. And really it's just like they're not bad people and they both kind of think the other one is a bad person, but at the end of the day, it's just they're flawed. And kind of similar to the Christophers, it's like once you get down like 30 minutes before the end of the movie, they have this big like screaming match, like kind of dissecting what is wrong with the other one. And at the end of it, like they end up just realizing like, okay, we're both kind of wronged by the situationship slash the son, who doesn't appear at all in the movie, by the way. He's like the main antagonist and just like isn't in it,
Hmm.
which is like pretty interesting. But I think the way Allison Janney does is like that's one of the better performances of the year. And it's like kind of sucks that the movie went straight to digital. It's on HBO Max, but like that movie definitely should have got a theater release. I don't know why it didn't. Like I know it's not like the biggest pull, but it also came out in like April when like Obsession was like the only thing going. So like it probably could have. Um, but I thought it was really good. It was just another one of those that these are the types of scenes that like stick out to me as like the pent up waiting for it the entire movie and then just like a release of like whatever emotion ends up being. I think she's crying in it, which that's like the only time she does throughout the movie. and she like really kind of finally breaks out of like this shell. And they both realize like why they're angry and why it's like okay to be angry, and why it's okay to be flawed. And I thought it was just really good performance from Allison Janney, basically, and she deserves some love for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a realization. I think it was rewatching 10 Things I Hate About You, and just realizing that Allison Janney is like one of the goats. Like I think
Oh
she maybe
yeah,
the greatest, one of the greatest like character actors like ever. And so like I love when she gets her flowers. And so I'm like, I don't know, again, haven't seen this one, but very excited to, because I also think it's is it Jim Rash that directed it,
yeah,
who
yeah.
is another one of the greatest performances of all time as the Dean in Community. But he did a movie The Way Way Back years ago, which is just another like I guess just like melancholic kind of like dark comedy like look into like it's a coming of age film that I like adore. So I'm very interested in checking this one out, but I do hear what you're saying about like the pent up and like the release, like that kind of effect in a movie and like the push and pull and what that means. So
And
yeah,
it's like one of those scenes that you can predict, like you kind of know throughout the movie, like at some point they're going to like they're stepping on each other's toes the whole movie. Like there's gonna be some sort of like release scene, but like the way they go about it, uh, it totally curveballs you. And like the things they say specifically, um, they paint like dynamics of relationships very well to a point where it's like you kind of get immersed into it and you're like, I totally see where each are coming from, and it's like very nuanced, but at the same time like you get it, and it makes sense for each of their characters to take a step forward, and it's not like either are taking a step back with it, which I think was the most important part, is they
mm,
both kind of gained something from it, and so it made sense like both to like move the plot forward, but also like it just made sense to click with the characters, which I just think doesn't happen very often for the sake of like moving a plot along.
yeah, that's a good point. I haven't really thought about it like I haven't thought about that, but I struggle to come to mind when any of that like instance happens where I don't know, characters progress, both of them. Like there's not a winner and a loser
Yeah,
necessarily. And then also like moving forward with the plot. I don't know. Very interesting.
yeah.
I'm in. Um my number two is from Backrooms, and I went the scene where Clark takes his employees in, which is right before he disappears and you get the kind of like final act of the movie with his therapist. But I think what Backrooms does so well and what I was so shocked by is, I mean, the world building and the immersion. And I think this is like a textbook scene of it where you get a lot of insight into Clark's character and his desire and this like American dream of it all. But then also it's like a found footage elements in this part. And I am so sucked in watching this in a theater, where he takes them both in. They both like guy gets trapped, and then you're kind of left with these like juxtapose like scenes and shots from different areas in this like environment, and you have no idea like what's really going on, and then you get the semblance of an answer like moments after, but you don't ever get a full answer. And I think that is just such a beautiful like way to shoot that, and I think the camera work is so fascinating, and then like blending in a on footage element where his employee has a camera on him and like using that footage without it feeling forced or gimmicky was just so impressive to me. And really just one of my favorite sequences in a movie that, I mean, I have it at number two for a reason. Like, I just think I was so sucked into this in a way I was not expecting to be. Like, I was fully immersed. And again, I'm so skeptical of movies like Backrooms. They just feel so like gimmicky and like a TikTok movie where it's like, oh, this YouTube like thing that happened like a decade ago that I didn't care about then is now like a movie. And the director's 20 years old. I just don't care. But I think this like was like it really proved to me like this is just great filmmaking and just so much like chew on. And yeah, I just love that specific. I don't even know how long it lasted because again, part of the feeling is that like time like doesn't exist, and you get that feeling fully in that I don't know that chunk of time.
I think like technically speaking, that's like one of the better shot scenes of the year. And like I'm not a big found footage guy personally, but I thought the way Kane Parsons did it with Backrooms is really good. Especially for like you said, him being 20 years old. I thought that the found footage stuff in Backrooms was awesome. I think you're probably a little higher on it than I was. I thought it was like good, not great as a movie, but that scene is definitely one of the more memorable ones, with the whole Like you're finally like being immersed in here, and you're like you're now no longer just like in the back rooms, like you're in his madness too. I think it was a
Mm.
good introduction to it. Um, we're getting to the point where we don't have too much time on
Oh,
Zoom. We've got about 7 minutes left on the Zoom, so I'll speed through these last two a little bit. I think I think we might end up having the same number one, because my number two is from The Furious, which is that like kung fu movie that came out and earlier this summer, which just like set the standard for like 21st century like choreography. Like it is the scene that I'm picking from it is the 2v2v1 final fight scene. I guess not the very end of the fight, but there's about 12 minutes of a 2v2v1 that goes on before like the last like 10 minutes of the movie. And it's like hands down the best choreography I've ever seen in an action movie. Like not particularly close. There's a lot of like catching up I need to do on like 70s and 80s kung fu stuff, but overall like this just kind of blew it out of the park. It's like straight from a video game. There's like so many shots in there where they're like lined up and do like crazy camera work where they like I don't even want to spoil it actually, so I'm not gonna say, but it's like they do like some effects with it, and then the dude from the raid is in there and he's wearing a tracksuit and he's got a bow. And he's awesome. And they kind of split off even at one point and do like a 1v1, and then there's like simultaneously another one going on. It's just somewhat like literally all I can say is it's the greatest choreography I've ever seen in an action scene. And I don't want to give away anything about the plot that's going on in it, but it's obviously just the protagonist versus the antagonist, and then a kind of a wild card thrown in there. But it's the best action I've seen, and it needs to be watched.
hmm.
With that said, what's your number one? Is it from Hail Mary?
It is, yeah.
So
And
is mine.
I'm not sure if we went the same one. I went Sandra Hüller, Sign of the Times karaoke.
I knew you were gonna do that. Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that.
I mean, just best scene in a film this year. I think it's just so. I mean, perfect song, by the way. Sign of the Times Hairstyle is a perfect song, but I think it's such a tone shift for the movie. You really like you understand his desperation, and I just like I get like chills like when she like says like it's gonna be all right and like points to him, just like chills,
Yeah.
like absolutely chills. But and I don't know, I just think I love so much about this scene, turning point in the film, like you because then you when it cuts back to him in space, like you kind of understand his like dread and like his lack of like hopefulness, which is like hard not to be optimistic, but it makes sense why he's not optimistic. And like this is like the contextual of that scene, contextualizes that scene. And like his disgruntledness before when he's talking to her about how everyone's celebrating when they're all gonna die, and like the way that is just like I don't know, like a beautiful sentiment for like the real world. And I don't know, I loved that movie so much, and like that is the scene that I like think back to like once a week, where it's just incredible.
Yeah, with Sign of the Times, like you almost forget that's like a semi-recent song. Like you think of that as like, well, that's a classic that like maybe Harry covered and has been around for like 100 years. Like like you kind of forget that's like it's like new. Like it is like one of a kind song. And then like the way Sandra did it, and the context of the movie is just like so fitting. Like sometimes like songs can be like too on the nose, and like this was like as on the nose as it gets, and I still thought it was just perfect in the movie. Like it doesn't get more on the nose than that, but it
Mm.
fit amazingly. And um Sandra kind of killed it, to be honest. Like her character being the way she was, and then like finally getting like a little bit of fun. It's like, all right, that's what does she say? That's enough. That
Yeah, yeah.
she says like that is all. Something
Yeah,
like
that is all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then like walks away, and that's it. I thought that was great. I went for a different Hail Mary scene. That was definitely one I considered. I went for Rocky and Grace collecting the life on Adrian, and then Rocky like dying.
Mhm.
Because that all happens at once. It's like a long scene, but it all happens in the same thing. Um, I think the score in that, or the sound, the song that plays, it's like dun dun dun. Like, dude, that's fucking amazing. I'm like never gonna forget that. And then like you also get you maybe don't get quite the extreme visuals that you remember as much as like when they're in the astrophage, but like you're still like right outside of Adrian. You get like the whole Green Planet stuff, and then you get them tearing through space and like on fire. Um, and then seeing like Rocky sacrifice himself to what you think is death at one point. That was obviously it pulls on the heartstrings as well. But I just think like the score and the visuals and that is probably the best. That's probably the best like simultaneous intersection of score and visuals like of any scene the entire year so far, in my opinion.
Oh, and I 100% agree. And I think what I love about the visuals of Project Hail Mary is that it's like it it's so hard to make me take a science fiction film seriously sometimes
Yeah.
because it like just the way it could look or like in general it's inherently like goofy. And for a movie to be able to lean into that goofiness while also like make it real and like grounded enough that I can like the emotional heartstrings can be strung, it's just so impressive to me. And that scene is the pinnacle of it because I it's like it's a roller coaster ride and he like when Rocky dies, it's like I'm like genuinely upset about this
Oh
rock and
yeah.
like the character building up to that point is just phenomenal, like unmatched in a film this year, and it's hard to think of many films this decade that have even done something similar.
Rocky's probably character of the year.
Yeah, I'd say so. I
Like
don't
I
about I'm,
I don't understand that people don't like him and say he's like cash grab. He's like totally not. Like
he, it feels like the opposite of it. Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like his character design itself is like I don't think it lends itself to like being made into a toy or anything.
No.
I think it's like
I've
the
never
whole
seen a
point.
Rocky toy.
Yeah. Well, then the whole thing with Lego.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know what you're talking about actually. I just said
Oh,
yeah.
that was cool. Yeah. All right.
All right. Yeah, I have no idea what Lego thing you're talking about.
Those who know, bro.
All right, dude. We got like a minute left on this, so but that's our top five scenes. Or expectedly, both of us having Project Hail Mary at one makes sense. It's my movie of the year. Is it still yours? Right?
Yeah, and pretty comfortably, I'd say.
I would say the same. But yeah, expected. Next episode that you guys see is either going to be our Odyssey review or our top five worst scenes of the year, which are going to be pretty incredible. And there's a lot of slop to go through as well. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be back with one of those episodes.